Good afternoon. So I know this is a tech conference, and so I'm here to suggest something that might be radical or disruptive, and that is that tech will not save the world. It's nice talking to you. So there are a number of books I could recommend. I'll recommend a few. I'll start with an old economist named John Kenneth Bain. His idea was that, and another philosopher from the 20th century that no one reads anymore called John Rawls. And Rawls and Bain, they agreed on something. One of the things that Rawls talks about is you have a society that's a capitalist society where you basically take care of people just so they don't revolt. So a capitalist-oriented society where people are serviced just so they have enough health, happiness, so they don't revolt. Or you can have a society that's organized around humans, and you organize wealth and capital to serve humans. And Adair Turner, who was the head of the financial services of Britain, Lord Turner, appropriately, talks about technology in the same way, as well as Tim O'Reilly. Some of you may know these people. But they talk about how do we organize technology to serve people and not just to exist. And how does technology now, in just existing, not serve people? So two things. When you have a system in place and you then introduce something neutral into the system, you're actually largely re-supporting the system. In other words, the system will take whatever you introduce and organize it based on existing arrangements of some sort, or some variation of those arrangements. So I'm going to tie these things together. So when you think about technology, especially technology and issues around race and gender, the normal conversation is how do we get more women, people of color, into technology? And then you have people who are worried about AI, machine learning, and sort of the end of humankind. And those are two big questions that people talk about. And I want to bring these together and sort of think about what's happening right now. So when you read people like O'Reilly or Adair, they're actually worried about the same thing. And I'll add one more writer to this, and this is Harari, who wrote the book *Sapien*, and also 21 chapters and 21 questions. Add to that, it's not enough, Stephen Hawking's latest book. In a sense, they're all worried about inequality. They see the central thing threatening society is inequality. And I want to just turn that a little bit deeper. There's election Sunday in Brazil. They elected a dictator, a fascist, a far right-wing person who basically doesn't believe in democracy. You could say doesn't believe in free trade, doesn't believe in climate change, doesn't believe in including people who are not part of his clan. And if you look around the world, a third of the countries today have already built walls, 1/3. So what's going on, and how does this fit with technology? Well, technology introduces change, but it doesn't actually tell us how to actually socialize that change. It doesn't tell us how that change will be used. So really what it's doing is actually being used to actually create incredible inequality. Not just inequality in terms of wealth, but inequality in terms of social position, inequality in terms of status. And this extreme inequality becomes a fertile ground for right-wing nationalism. And we're going to see that continue to explode. And so here's the thing. If it continues to explode, my prediction is not that we will be consumed by robots 100 years from now. We will consume each other in less than 100 years. We will have a major war and climate change before the end of the century. Technology is now actually enabling that. It doesn't have to, because a lot of what's being produced is being produced, like I said, sort of in a neutral setting. It's like, what we're really trying to do is make profit, rent-seeking, monopolies, with very little concern for human welfare. A lot of concern for human consumption, but not for human welfare. And so that attention is being largely ignored. Now, there's an article in the paper the other day about billionaires in San Francisco fighting over the homeless. And a lot of people who make a lot of money in the tech industry, and I work fairly closely with some tech industries, they're what I would call progressive libertarians. That is, they are okay if they have, most of them are white or Asian, but they're okay if they have black friends. They're okay about gays and transgendered people. They're okay about even immigration. But they're not okay in terms of organized structures sort of creating a platform for people to exist. So my time is almost up, so I'll leave you one last thing. Harari, in his book, he makes the argument that what caused Homo sapiens to actually outpace Neanderthals was not that Homo sapiens were smarter. In fact, now the thinking is that Homo sapiens were not smarter than Neanderthals. The Neanderthals had larger brains and were probably stronger. What they didn't have is they didn't have a social network. Their sense of we was always relatively small, generally no more than 50, sometimes 150, but that was it. They couldn't imagine a group beyond the people that they had in face-to-face contact with. And that what Homo sapiens were able to do, create a story, create mechanisms, created large we's, so thousands, or if you think of people who identify as Christians, 2 billion. And so it's this social network. And Hawkins make the point that intelligence is always social. What we're seeing now is that the technology is not being used to create social networks, it's being used to create individual networks. I'll end by just saying this. We actually are at a very precarious time, not where we're serving humans, but also where we fundamentally don't understand humans. It's okay to give people what they want as long as they want the right thing. Wanting is not foundational. Wanting is just halfway down. Wanting is actually manufactured itself. So look at the video, The Century of the Self, and you'll see the manufacturing of wants. So technology has a job. Right now it's not doing that job. Right now it's serving the disintegration of global society and of the world. I'm not anti-technology, but I want to use to serve humans and not the other way around. Thank you.